This is an interview on the 3rd of November 2007 with Cecil Driscoll, VX117315, Corporal, 39th Battalion, B Company, 11th Platoon. Can I call you Cec?
Yes.
Cec, how did you come, you were born in Merbein first, how did you come to join the army?
Oh, well, I wanted to join up with me. I wanted to go with my uncle, my friend, my mate Willie Shim, which went to Rabaul, was lost on that boat that went down with all the prisoners on. And Mum, me being the eldest son, Mum would let me join the AOF because we had no dad. So I went into Captain Dawes and he said I could volunteer, so I volunteered. And I went into the militia to the 22nd Battalion at Bungilla.
And you did your basic training up at Bungilla for 5 weeks?
About 5 to 6 weeks.
What was that like?
Oh, pretty pitiful baby sort of stuff, but it was a part of training. To get you on the way, to slope arms and all that sort of rubbish. Very boring, but yeah, it was all right.
And how did you hear about the 39th?
Well, the sergeant came out and he said, we're looking for volunteers for the 39th. Well, I said, I want to go overseas, I'm going.
Because, did they mention that they were going to New Guinea?
Yes, a special battalion being raised to go to New Guinea.
And what did you think about that?
Well, I thought it was good to get out of Australia. I don't know why, but I thought it was.
Did many of you from the 22nd Battalion volunteer?
No, there was only about a dozen, but there was other battalions in training there. I don't know what names the battalions were because I didn't understand battalions and things those days. But there was other ones there, and I suppose there was about 30 of us. But there had been enlistments from that area before, which had probably 2/3 filled the 39th. And they called for more volunteers. And when they didn't get enough numbers, this is when the rubbish come in. Everybody in all the battalions got rid of the rubbish they didn't want. And this is why we fed up with blind blokes and deaf blokes and all one-armed blokes and all sorts of things in the 39th. Because they weren't fit.
But in general, a lot of the ones that volunteered were pretty fit blokes and good blokes.
Yes, yes.
And the morale in the 39th, the feeling was a really good feeling there?
It was very good, because most of the blokes were young, and for some reason or other they weren't in the AIF or weren't allowed in it, and they really were willing to have a go. Which makes a volunteer, makes a better soldier than a bloke that's pushed into it.
And you were only 20 years old then, and you were from a big family?
Well, I was the second eldest of 7, with no father. So,
what did your mother think about you joining the 39th?
Well, she wasn't very happy because her brothers, who were in the 39th, the First War, said, keep him home, Alice, he's the breadwinner. But anyway, I got away.
So, from Bungilla, you caught the train down to Melbourne and up to Darley, where the camp was. What can you remember about the camp at Darley?
Oh, I remember the rotten dentist. You went over there and sat out in a roaring thunderstorm for 3/4 of an hour with the injection in your teeth, and you went in there and it was all the deadening had gone, he still pulled the teeth. I didn't like that too much. But Darley wasn't a bad camp. And
you had joined B, were you in B Company?
No, I went to C Company under Lieutenant Salmon.
What was Alf Salmon like?
A good fellow. Very steady man, very, you know, he was a mature man. He's older than us. And he was a good fellow.
Was there much training done at Darley? You weren't there?
I don't know, I never done any. We never had time much. From the time we had final leave and done all the getting kitted out, because we were issued with tropical gear. We had flash jackets and things. We never had the ordinary KDs. And of course we had the bomb blade learners issued, which rigged out in leather leggings and putties and all this obsolete sort of stuff that should never have been kept from the First War.
Before the 39th left to go up to Sydney, there was a street parade in Melbourne. Were you involved in that?
No, that was just before I joined. They'd done that street march in Melbourne before we got there from Bungilla. So I don't know anything about that.
So basically your training there for a short time is just a bit of rifle drill and
Yes, that's all I'd done, but some of the other fellows had been in Bungilla, been in Darley a while. When we got there, were doing section and attack and things like that, because I heard them talking about it, but we didn't know what it was.
And how did you feel about when the word came round that you were leaving to go to Sydney to go up New Guinea?
Oh, I think it was one of pleasure, I think, because a lot of us wanted to go. We wanted to go. It
was just a garrison Port Moresby, so at that stage you had no idea what was to come.
No, it was the garrison force where the Germans where we'd taken the Germans in the First War, so it was a precautionary thing as far as we were concerned.
And all the blokes are looking forward to going?
I would say 80%, yes. 20% were shoveled in. Some of them weren't fit, and they weren't looking forward, a lot of them.
So you took the train up to Sydney?
Up to Sydney, yeah.
What do you remember about the train trip?
Oh, well, first of all, it was very secretive. I think the only blokes that didn't know we were going with the Jacks because they blacked everything out. We had to go right through to Sydney in a blackout, curtains down. It was a lot of rubbish. Then we had to get out on the central station, full view of everybody, and go on in trams to go down to get on ferries to go out onto the Aquitania.
So half of Sydney probably saw you?
Yes, everybody saw us.
And what was the Aquitania like? That was a big ship.
Oh, well, that was it had been a good ship. She'd gone to the scrap heap, but she was a pleasure boat. Oh, Jesus, all the staterooms and everything, it was luxurious. But the boys were still standing around carving their names in the rails and all sorts of things with their jackknife. I soon wrecked it.
And you were a private at that stage, still
Yes.
attached to C Company?
Yes, it's private.
Did you have a job on the boat at all with machine guns or anything? Or?
No, but I met fellas on the machine guns that I went to school with. They come from Merbein, two of the boys.
There were a lot of people from up the Merbein, Mildura area, wasn't there?
There was a high enlistment area from here because, you know, a lot of it was soldiers settlers from the First War. The enlistment quotas up this way were very, very good.
And can you remember much about the trip up there? Was there...
Not a lot. I'm not a good sailor. I never ever slept in the bunk. It was down on the F deck, which was a long way down. And once you get behind that first door, no aircon and that sort of thing those days, and all portholes are locked up. It was like an oven, so I slept on deck for the whole trip.
Can you
Bottle
remember...
of water and a cigarette, that was right.
Can you remember if there were any submarine alerts when you were up there?
We had a couple of alerts, but I never ever worked out whether they fed ink or only trials.
And you finally arrived in Port Moresby Harbour.
Yeah.
What was your first impressions of New Guinea?
Jeez, what a dump. And the time we got off that boat, walked 7 miles out the 7-mile drome, it wasn't very good.
So did it take you a while to disembark on the boat? Did you have to...
It was pretty near dark when we marched out of Moresby out to the 7-mile drome. It was dark when we left Moresby.
So that was an all-night march?
Well, 11 to 12 o'clock and we got out to our camp. We curled up and lay down on the ground because the camp was only a few scrubby trees on the 7-mile drome.
No mosquito nets, no...
No, nothing, no tents, no nothing. Only what we stood up in.
What do you think about that?
It was all right for 2 or 3 days, but then they got shovels rolled to leak the trains, but the damage was done. That's when the dysentery hit us.
And the malaria?
No, that was a bit later coming. First of all, it was the dysentery because the sanitation, we never had shovels to dig holes or anything. And you'd be sitting around there and it'd be a tin of bullet beef was held about 7 or 8 pounds or something, shared between 20 blokes, and while you're getting it your share, the flies would be all over it. Yeah, that was a bit of catastrophe.
But the battalion basically settled into the 7-mile drome and also around Bootless Bay. So life at the 7-mile drome basically was guarding the aerodrome against air attack.
Well, actually, the first instance was just bivouac to see what they were going to do. Well, we were only there a few days, and we got the allocation, C Company, out to the Bootless Bay area. And that was only on the drone for a few days.
So what was Bootless Bay like? Was that a little bit better than being at the drone?
Well, we thought it was, because there was a little water hole just down below where we camped, and the creek ran into this water hole, and the low tide, the water was quite backish. It was a good day for swimming. It was quite good for a while till somebody dropped a bloody grenade in it. And up come a 3-foot croc, so we weren't as keen on it after that.
So you were down there just laying barbed wire and digging trenches?
And digging, well, we struck several lots of placements, you know, one line and fall back to another line on the strap.
Was that to protect from a sea?
Yes, well, there was an inlet in there where they come in. There used to be a big smelter further up the bay, a big smelter where the smelting works was, and it was navigable. So we were there to protect that sort of thing. Not that we could have done it, but we were there to do it.
Was it just C Company down there at that stage?
Yes, C Company was attached. There was another section of machine gunners, the Northfield group. They were attached, they were in that area too, but they were sighting places for Vickers guns and things.
How long did you spend at Bootless Bay?
Oh, I don't know, some months. Until the Coral Sea battle started, if you knew when that was. And then we were rushed in there to back up. That's when we done the ACAC across the drone.
Back up to the airfield?
Yeah.
Were you still with C Company? When did you go to
Yeah, C Company then. And then when the Coral Sea battle was over, we moved back to Bootless Bay. And then all of a sudden we were all called up to go before the doctor. Because B Company, they'd been on a mission with telephone wires further up, and they were pretty rotten with malaria and stuff. So they took fit blokes out and put us in B Company. And I went from C to B Company at that stage, and then we went over the mountains.
So before you left for the mountains, tell us a bit about guarding the airfield. You were down with Lewis guns across the bottom of the
chute. The runaway, we were.
The Bofors, and you must have seen a lot of strafing by Zeros.
Well, we seen 3 or 4 raids a day there for about a week. And that was quite, well, a bit sporting when they weren't hurting anybody. I mean, they weren't hitting anybody. I had a pair of pants sitting up on the stump alongside the pit. It was no good anymore after one raid. A couple of explosive bullets got it. We didn't know they were so close. But they got me shorts anyway.
So you were in Lewis gun weapons pits,
yes,
right along the end of the drone?
Yes, right across the end. It was spaced out, 50 yards apart or something like that. And the aircraft, the big Liberators, that used to pull up practically 100 yards in front of us. And we were back in the trees, just a little bit in the scrub trees, so we had good field fire.
Did you hit anything? Did you hit any Zeros?
Well, there was a couple of Zeros went away with smoke coming from them, but apart, it was us having a go, the Beaufords were having a go, and the Vickers along the ridges were having a go. So, yeah, we got a smoke out of a couple. Yeah, they crashed, a couple.
And the 7-mile drone was bombed very heavily.
Yeah, but they were pretty crook. They didn't hit much.
How did you feel about being on the receiving end of a bombing raid? What was your first impressions of that?
Well, those Lewis gun pits were awful big when you were on the bottom of the pit looking up. I mean, it wasn't too bad with you fired because you run around a big mound, but that weapon pit was awful big when the bombers were cruising around for an hour, perhaps before they dropped their bombs. But they were very good shots. They used to miss. They landed amongst the pits a few times, and that. But we were lucky. Somebody got buried and was able to dig them out, but we never had any casualties from them.
At that time, did you get much mail from home?
In spits and spasms. We had an email line there for a while. One of the old Hudsons, they called them DC-3s, but they were the same as the biscuit bombers, only they were civilian planes fitted out for passengers. And they used to run the mail quite often. We used to get, you know, 2 or 3 times a week for a while. But after that, when we got into action, it was different.
One of the duties of the battalion also, apart from guarding the airfield, was also unloading ships. Were you involved in the MacDooey incident?
No. Some of our, I was with the sea company then, some of them were on it when she was bombed. But no, I wasn't on it. And I don't think we had any casualties from it.
Can you remember when the Australian Kitty Hawks finally arrived after
Yes.
they'd been promised for so long?
Yes, well, I remember because I'm relating stories told. We were still out at Beatles Bay when the first 4 arrived. And yes, Ben would probably tell you that. The Vickers guns got stuck into them. I don't think 2 of them ever flew again. Yeah, they got into the first. Well, we just had a 0, just the same morning coming out of the mist. And they thought, here comes our Zeros, and they were throwing up their hats, and all of a sudden they got strafed. So the next lot come in, got a hot reception.
They wouldn't have been very pleased, the
No.
Australian pilots?
No, we weren't very pleased too. We 2 of them were out of commission from then on.
So when you were transferred to B Company, what did you think about that? Did you leave some of the
We
mates?
was going on, we was exploiting, you know, I suppose we was pioneering. We were told we were going overseas if possible to get over the range on this special track. And we'd been issued with new officers. We got all these new AIF officers to take the place of most of our officers, not all of them. We still had, see, a lot of our posts, like Alfie Salmon was still the sea company, but, well, Bert Templeton was in the First War, but he was a big, strong man. But old Harold Robbie, our company commander, must have been in his 60s. And then they replaced, they were good young officers, been sergeants and the things in the Middle East and got their pips.
And who was your platoon commander at the time?
Sea Camp, Army Sea Camp.
And what was he like?
He was a nice chap until, well, you know, I wasn't very well trained in the army ways, and we're getting ready to go over the mountains, and he said, well, we can't damn well go. He said, I haven't got a batty. And I thought the batty was the second runner. Oh, I'll do it, sir. Well, when we got to over the Owen Stanleys, and nobody told me I had to wash his clothes and look after his tucker. So when we got into action, I was appointed the section leader, but I never washed any of his clothes and looked after his tucker. So I didn't know. I thought about him as second runner.
And Sam Templeton was the
Company commander
of B Company.
Yes.
You probably wouldn't have met him, but you would have seen him.
Yes, I met him because when he was there when we had to let the wire rope the bridge go.
And what was Sam like?
Huh?
What was Sam like?
Oh, big, strong man. He was bossy, young, but my God, he was fit. He was a strong man.
And what did the young blokes think of him?
Oh, they looked up to him. Yeah, looked up to Sam. And he organised the first ambush. And we done that just beyond the wire rope. Yeah.
So the walking across the track, when you finally left the 7 Mile and you got trucked up to as far as you could,
Yeah.
and you started the walk across the track with B Company, what was that like? The first couple of days must have been pretty tough.
Well, it was hard, but we had it better than the companies that followed, because we were first. Well, they didn't know what the terrain was like, and they didn't know what they were going into. So we were stripped down. We only carried a pack on our back with a change of clothes and our rifles.
And what, did you have a Tommy gun or a rifle at that stage?
I had a rifle at that stage, but we didn't carry anything else, only the rifle and the change of clothes. No other equipment. That all went round to Buna by boat. gas masks and all that, spare clothing, everything went around by boat.
Did you actually see that in the end or not?
No, they pulled into the beach one day and the next pulled in the next. So they burnt the stuff and got. We never seen it again. That was all our good tropical kicker and everything went off at that one.
So, what was it like walking across the track? I mean, you were pretty young and fit, but it must have been tough.
It was tough, more tough in some places. I mean, in the middle, you've got to go up. I think you walk. You start early in the morning, you walk about 1 o'clock before you got to the top of the ridge. It was straight up. You had to have hands to climb. And those, mind you, that it was spongy ground, but it wasn't so, it was very slippery if you got a place where there wasn't any moss on. But you climbed up all day and you got up there and then there's only a ridge about 6 foot wide and you had to climb down the other side. It was just a sharp going down. That was the hard one. Going down was worse than going up because all your legs went wobbly and shaky. It was terrible.
And how did you feel walking across there? Because you knew eventually that you'd be meeting the enemy. Were the guys nervous or?
No, there was no enemy to be met. All we was doing was breaking new ground. There was no nips on New Guinea when we went over. They hadn't landed. So we were on a bit of a holiday. We were explorers. We was trying out this new track. But the poor blokes behind us, they had to carry all their gear. And by that time the moss had all died and they were on mud and roots. So we had it easy the first lot. Mind you, it wasn't so easy coming back. But going over, we had it easier than the rest of the battalion.
And the battalion was guided a lot of this time by Bert Kinzel. He actually showed the way a lot of the way
Yes.
to 39th.
He mapped out ahead of us, he mapped out the route we would take and where the overnight stops would be. And he had his ports or guides, native guides. But yeah.
And you can remember Bert, can you?
Yes, he was a big, strong, I would say, if he wasn't German, he was German descent. Big, strong man, very nice man, well-proportioned, big man. Yes, he's somebody you admire. But he done a wonderful job with carriers, no doubt about that.
So you eventually got to Kokoda.
Yes.
And did you just spend some time in Kokoda before you?
We had approximately a week. We got to Kokoda and we went to the village where they had the little rubber factory. Not a rubber, they don't call it rubber, but latex. All the sheets of latex and everything was laid out there. And I remember particularly getting on the scales and I was 9 stone 10. This is after I got there. But when I come out of the Iron Stanleys, at the station where we went back to the medical station, I was 6 stone 8. So that's the difference. We've got starvational duty. I was 9 stone after walking over, yet when I come out I was 6 stone 8. But yeah, we were stationed there for a week. We done a few patrols and we lived on pawpaw, lovely ripe pawpaw straight off the trees all through the bush, and bananas. We lived on biscuits.
And you're making a bit of a headquarters area there on the plateau of Kokoda?
Well, the company headquarters were there. We were down in the village below Kokoda and we done our patrols out the Yodra and all over the place to have a look around.
You were just on the other side of the river, on the other
side of the creek below Kokoda.
the creek, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the creek runs right across below the escarpment.
Yeah, so there's a flat area on the other side of the creek. You were camped in there.
Yeah, over the creek.
Yeah, because the airfield's the other side of that too.
Yeah, it was back to the left towards Zeniki.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bit, because they had rubber there at Kokoda too, and the aerodrome running alongside of it, so it's sort of on the flat bed. It was only just a Cooney-eyed patch cut down, that's all. Just a bit of level, bit of ground.
And eventually the Japanese did land on the north coast, and
yes, they landed at Gona, and we took
the company headed off towards.
We headed off towards Gona, yes. we'd done a forced march from about 4 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We got on over the Wairopi River and to the next big village down a few k's, 5 or 8 k's down.
Could it be a whale in the village?
I think it was a whaler. I can't remember. But Major Watson was there with the PIB. And we just sort of got our gear off and just stopped perspiring when all of a sudden, bang, over comes 2 or 3 mortars and a few shots. And we immediately got our gear back on again and headed back over the Wairopi River.
And getting to that area, you would actually, as you said, force march from Kokoda, and you carried a lot of ammunition on that march too.
100 white boxes of ammunition and tins of biscuits and bags of sugar.
How'd you do that? Did you have...
We went on poles just like the carriers.
That would have been pretty tough.
It was pretty heavy because another thing that affected us badly was walking on the flat. We'd come over the mountains and we hadn't sort of got our bones set. Then we had to do a forced march with this weight, and it was muddy because it was fairly flat. It was fairly muddy, been a lot of rain. And that was a killer, walking on the flat with all this weight. And there were boys, by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the blokes were cramping everywhere.
So the Japanese attacked you just near Wala, and you withdrew back across
the bridge, yeah.
The bridge at Wairopi there.
Yeah, yeah.
The Kamusi River.
That night we let the bridge go.
Can you remember the Japanese trying to get across the bridge at some stage?
We never seen them. We didn't stop to see them. No, I don't mean that. But they withdrew us, and then they withdrew us back into the timber. I don't know what the name of the village was. About 5 or 6 k's back there was another village with a creek forward of Visharava. And we took up a position there. Sam Templeton organised, I think it was Harry Mortimer's platoon, to do the actual ambush, 2 sections. But this is where I got relieved of Batman. Jim Wall was a mate of mine, and he was in this section, was doing the rear guard. And I said to the third, you don't need me, you got your number 1 runner. Yeah, you can go out with Jim, he said. Well, that was it. I stayed in that section, as section leader.
And can you remember much about Sam Templeton at that stage? Because it wasn't long up that he
then they done the ambush and we withdrew, and we was on a big lump of a creek, or I don't know if it was a river or what, it was a pretty fast river, but we're all along the edge of that. And, we were unseasoned troops, you know. Every now and again you see a bloke run down and fill his water bottle out of the creek and this sort of thing. The Japs were watching us all the time, we didn't know. Anyway, Sam decided to pull us back to Oivy. And we done Oivy. We settled in there. Harry Mortimer's platoon was down in supposed to be the impregnable gap. And we were in the village. There was 2 platoons.
Was Garland down there too?
No, Garland was back at Moresby. He's the rear guard back at Moresby. But this is where Sam got lost. He went back to see who was coming. He'd sent for him to come forward.
Is this from Oivy? He left from Oivy?
Yeah, and he walked back a few hundred yards, and we never seen him again. And after a certain time, 2 IC company got worried. He said, right, are you blokes? And he grabbed our section, let's go. And we walked down the track, and we didn't get far. We got opened on from all around the place. And we knew Sam had been cut off. Yeah.
How did you feel about being in action for the first time during that time?
A bit scary. A bit wondering.
Did you see many Japanese?
You've seen a few, but they could see us easier than we could see them, because we didn't know how to hide ourselves like they did. Oh no, we've seen a few and they started to come towards you.
Because the Japanese were seasoned campaigners with jungle training, and of course...
Yeah, well, we didn't know, but I remember one exploit, we was on this creek. Jim Wall said, I've been watching the stump over there in that garden for an hour and a half. He said, and the bloody thing got up and walked away. That was how well he was watching us all the time. Yeah.
How did you feel about when you knew Sam had been cut off?
Well, we were a bit distraught because we didn't know what was going on. Japs were all around us. There was only one way out. And if it hadn't have been for the big black native policeman that took us down in the middle of the night, he took us down the incline into the river, this creek thing, and we clambered up that all night. Everybody got down there and everybody got a bit of, what do you call it, phosphorus sticks. All the sticks in the jungle went to phosphorus, you know. Put that in your webbing and everybody had to hang on to the bait. Jeez, going up that round rocks, you know, in the river, in the middle of the night, with sprigs on your boots. Everybody was falling over, rattling Dixies. But he got us out.
This was the native policeman?
Yeah, I think his name was Sanananda or something. He got an MM out of it or something. A big man, a huge man.
Was he?
Big fella.
And he saved a lot of lives that way?
Well, yeah, there was a few blokes got left behind, but he got us all out, except about 5 or 6 blokes that we didn't know had been left behind. And we climbed up this creek all night, and he said I was up near the start of the line at this stage, and he said to the officer, I think it was Stevenson, close to the track now. And we stopped just before daylight. And geez, when we stopped, I reckon the track was as close to me to that table of him. Yeah. And the next, well, since it broke day, all hell broke loose at Ivy. They opened up with everything.
So we
were gone.
Were you on one side of the river there?
Yeah, we were about 6 or 8 miles away, I reckon, by the time they opened up. And we had blokes cut off, like with Harry Moore. I never ever seen him again after that either. But they got back. They got out. They were lucky. But we never had many casualties at that stage.
Did you have much food at the time? Wasn't time to eat, did you have?
Oh, we had food at that time because we'd been carrying it. But it wasn't until after we left Kokoda that we ran out of food.
Did you get much sleep at that? You wouldn't have had much sleep during the night at that stage.
You usually done 2 on, 2 off, you know. Changed over, we've got 2 blokes on, 2 blokes off sort of thing. Switched around that way. That's so much sleep you got.
So you eventually made your way back to Kokoda?
Yes.
Did you make a stand at Kokoda?
We took up positions. By this time, that plane that got in from the clean and a couple of sections, or a section of something at Don Company. Well, that was an improvement. But they also dropped off a load of Bren guns and Thompson submachine guns. And to our amazement, we were handed these guns because we only had Lucas guns, no submachine guns. And they were still full of the manufacturer's grease.
These are the Thompsons?
The Thompsons and the Brens. The only trouble is, none of us had ever seen a Thompson or a Bren. So how do you pull them to pieces when you don't know what you're doing? So we found out the easiest way to get the water was to go to the cookhouse, get him to boil up all the boiling water and pour the water through. But it was a bit of a job getting them back together again. But
and you had a Thompson machine?
I issued a Thompson, yeah, I had a Thompson.
What was that like?
Pretty cumbersome. Too heavy for jungle fighting. Good stopping power, but very hard on the carrier. It wasn't so bad when I bought out the new mags, a straight mag with only 15 or 18 rounds in it. But the big round mags used to rub all the skin off your hips and your body where it rubbed when you was sneaking through the jungle. No, they weren't a good gun in the jungle.
And what about the Bren guns?
Bren gun was a beauty. Once we got to the 2nd Battalion, it was always a fight. Who was going to get the Bren?
Magnificent weapon, weren't they?
Well, good weapon as long as you kept it reasonably clean, oiled, and your gas ports clean. So that if you didn't clean it, it rained every night. If you didn't have a bit of rag or something to wrap around it and keep it fairly clean, it'd jam. So you kept it pretty clean.
So B Company were embedded in it, the Kokoda Plateau, and you waited for the Japanese to attack?
Yeah, we waited a day and a half, I think, 2 days.
Did they attack during the day or at night?
No, they stuck late in the evening, just on dusk, and they kept it up till about 2 o'clock in the morning before they come over the top.
And where were you actually based?
I was in the edge of the rubber. I was in the rear guard on the back perimeter.
Towards Deniki, on the Deniki side.
So I wasn't getting the flak like they're getting up the front.
Did any of the Japanese come around the back, or they all came up the front?
We never seen one. Well, we got a few orders and stuff.
But they were mostly coming up
They were coming up over the front.
Over the tip of the escarpment.
In the escarpment.
And Colonel Owen was killed at that stage.
That's where he was killed. He was skylining himself. He was standing up on the skyline throwing grenades. Yeah.
The sound of the battle must have been disconcerting from where you were hearing.
Yeah, well, we were, you know, we had a clue what was going on, but, you know, we were ready, but we never got, we expected them to come in the rear too, but they didn't. They come round the escarpment and on the edge of the rubber, and, you know, we didn't get much trouble where we were.
Because you would have been around about 200 to 300 metres away from the action at that stage, just...
Yeah. I don't know it'd be 200 metres, but it was a fair step, because we were outside the village itself. Yeah. And the village wasn't far off the garden, if I remember rightly.
So, when the battle finished, did you then have to evacuate out of Kokoda?
We evacuated, we had to wait as a rear guard to allow the mob to come back through.
Were they overrun down at the bottom of the peninsula?
Yes, they were, but nearly everybody pulled back at the right time, and nearly everybody got out. But there was a couple on one of the peninsulas on a Bren gun, a big lad from Melbourne, I've forgotten his name. We never seen those again. There was 2 or 3 other injuries.
Were they right at the edge? They must have got overrun, were they?
Yeah, I think they might have been. Because, I mean, everybody else got out with them. But they'd stopped firing. They'd probably been, they'd got snipers or something had gone, even in the night time. Because a flash of their guns, they'd be firing it.
So then B Company basically escaped through the rubber up towards Deniki.
Yeah, we withdrew to Deniki, and we took up a rough sort of position there, because some were a bit late getting back. We had a bit of a problem there. There was a few didn't like the idea of it, so they kept going.
Kept walking back towards Isharaba?
Yeah. Yeah, a few of them. Not many, but a few.
They couldn't stop them, or?
Oh, well, there was nobody there to stop them, was there? I mean, they didn't have anybody to stop them till they got up a couple of days' walk away and they met the forward companies coming forward. Till they come forward again too.
So you made a bit of a stand at Deniki?
No, they withdrew from the very front of Deniki to another site just behind Deniki somewhere. I don't know exactly. And we put up took up positions there, and then all of a sudden there was 2 companies. And we kept there, and then there was 3 companies. And when the 4th company got up, they decided it was time to attack. And that's when B Company was left in reserve. And these other companies, one company went down towards Oiby and cut the track. A Company attacked and took the drone.
And went back into Kokoda?
Yeah, we retook the drone. But then the other company never got out of the hills. They were pinned down, they couldn't get out. I think A Company or somebody.
A Company went back to
done a Bainland attack to get through. But the other company got pinned down. So after about 2 or 3 days, A Company had to give up the drone because they couldn't get any more to them.
And you were just waiting at Deniki at this stage?
We were at Deniki at this stage, yeah.
Gee, it was very adventurous to try and get back down to the drone in Kokoda, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that was, I don't know whether that was Major Cameron or Captain Cameron. That was before Arnold took over, I think. I don't know, I can't remember whether Cameron took over. He joined us at Dennehy, but I don't know who was in charge when they took the drone. I think he was. I can't remember.
After all the companies pulled back towards Dennehy, then you moved back towards Ishiaraba?
I think we took up positions at Dennehy first, the rear, behind Dennehy. I think we were all in position there, and we held on there till the 14th. Joined us.
Can you remember the second 14th coming in?
Yeah, because the first bloke, one of the first blokes I seen was a bloke was his brother I tried to go to a ball with. His twin brother. Come over the hill. And he's Jackie Simmons. Yeah, I knew him.
And what do you think about the second 14th coming in?
Oh, it was great. All these blokes in jungle greens. Oh, tough. Bloody gaiters and proper fitting shorts. No steel helmets, all felt out. Oh, they looked $1 million.
And you had, you didn't have jungle greens?
No, we had khaki Bombay bloomers.
And boots that were unsuitable?
Boots unsuitable. And the Bombay bloomers were unsuitable because you used to let them down in the daytime, so they'd come down to there at night time and the mosquitoes go straight up the legs. Mongrel things. And you used to have to button them up. It was all wet and all rubby and chafy. Yeah.
Colonel Honour joined the battalion at that stage. Can you remember Colonel Honour at Ishiaraba or around that area at the time?
Yeah. He came to and as it turns out, he came from the 14th Battalion.
And what was he like, Colonel Honour?
Oh, he was a bloke that made himself popular with all the blokes. Because you went round and talked to him. I won't say anything about Cameron.
Now, at Ishiaraba, prior to the battle, you, at that stage, you'd been in action for
we
a
got
fair
kicked
time.
out of Dennehy. I think they called it the Gardens or something. Well, that's when the 14th.
Came to Ishiaraba.
They joined us at Ford of Ishiaraba, I think. I think it was what they called the Gardens, just behind Dennehy. And they joined us, and that afternoon they gave the B Company hell. And they joined us, and we got kicked back. Another company done a bayonet charge and regained going. But to finish up, we had to withdraw. And I hadn't had a feed for 2 or 3 days. And the second 14th bloke gave me a tin of bully and a bottle of water. And I lay down on the ground and went to sleep. I woke up in the morning, I was on my own. So that was it. And then we went to Ishiaraba. And then we took up positions there. We was only there 2 days. And our platoon was relieved. I don't think all the B Company was relieved. Our company, our platoon, and we had to go back to the dropping point that Kendall found behind Templeton's Crossing. Myola.
Myola? You went back to Myola?
We went back there to pick up food. And it was the next day we had to get out because everybody for himself. So we went out and we continued back to Moresby. We didn't, that's the last our platoon seen of it.
Did you have to leave the food at Myola?
Oh yeah, we damaged as much as we could have.
How'd you damage it?
Oh, just by hitting it and kicking it. Most was damaged anyway.
Was it in tins?
In tins, most was no good.
Did you actually, at Myola, did you watch the aircraft drop it?
Yeah.
What was that like? How did they come in?
Well, they come in about 100 feet, 150 feet. And they dropped these bags, sandbags. When they hit the ground, these gold tins of bloody bully beef went everywhere. It was like watching a show at Christmas time with all these pretty lights going. I tell you what, you didn't want me out there when they were dropping them, because they exploded. They were like bullets. Yeah.
Was anyone hurt?
Oh, there was somebody got hit a few times, yeah, but most of us got out of the road.
And was your job then to pick up all the food and try
trying to and store it, but we weren't awake to the fact that by this time, if you got a tin of bully, you give it a squeeze. And if it hissed, you threw it. You didn't pick up a tin of bull and start eating it, because that's how we got poisoned. The damn stuff had a minor hole in it when they dropped it, and of course it was going off. We ate and got food poisoning. I never ate bully beef for 9 months. Couldn't put it in my mouth. My mouth wouldn't accept it.
So after that, you and with the whole battalion in the front, had to withdraw back towards Port Moresby.
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, as I say, we withdrew, and we were told we had to keep going. And they let us out. We were relieved.
Did you meet up with your old B Company mates at some stage?
Yeah, we come out. As soon as they come out, we were reformed. And we were reformed and went to Shelley Beach, digging more holes. You know, training with we got Owen guns. We knew how to put them to piece before we went into action again.
Did you get reinforcements at that stage too?
Yes, this is when a lot of Mildura boys joined us that had been lost. They were supposed to be in our first Rios.
Was that
They'd been lost at Toowoomba for about 12 months. And there was a lot of local boys from here.
Was that up at Koitaki they were being trained?
No, they joined us somewhere, and then we come back to Koitaki, and as soon as we done a little bit of bullring work there to get us, used to taking orders again, I suppose. And then we went to Shelley Beach, but we got reinforcements there. Yeah. And that, of course, was preparing us to go over again.
So you flew after that. That was for the Northern Beaches campaign.
We was there for a few weeks.
Okay.
And we done positions and re-equipped and then reinforced.
Sort of freshened up a bit.
Yeah.
Did you get decent clothes and decent boots?
Oh yes, we got
the jungle greens.
We got the gaiters and the jungle greens, yeah. And I think we had to dye our own actually. I think we had to put on big drums and put the dye in them and dye the khaki green. I think that's what we done.
They would have been more improved than the
yes.
Than the previous uniforms you had.
Well, yes, they were, because you had no protection at all with those Bombay bloomers. They were shocking things.
And they were the wrong colour too, weren't they?
Well, yes. But they might have been all right in Malaya and in places, but they were British, sure. Our jungle equipment was, but we got re-equipped with Bren guns and
Owen guns
and rifles are all checked over and all this sort of thing.
Had you been promoted to that stage, Cess?
Yeah, well, I Shelley Beach was up my second stripe, but in Narn Stanley, so we said we were Isharava there somewhere, and Teddy Stewart ran up and said, "Seth, just come to an RA, you're a Lance Corporal." Well, I said, I always hated Lance Corporals. I wasn't very polite to Teddy. But at the time I had a great big boil on my lip, all down here. And during this bad day, we had the heavy day, it burst. I swallowed the knot. Yeah, but Teddy got a mouthful. Yeah.
And you're a corporal, so you're a section leader. You're a section.
Well, I was a section leader right from the day we done the ambush.
So
the corporal in charge, he said, "Come on and run," and took all the men with him. And I left Jim and I to do the ambush. We'll do the rear guard.
So you had a section of about 9 or 10 men?
Yes. And the rotten corporal was put back in my section as a private.
And the rest of your section were a good bunch of blokes?
Oh yeah, good blokes. Yeah, they were good blokes.
And were you still was the platoon commander at that stage still RDC Camp?
Yeah, RDC Camp. But he went over to Gona with us, but within a few days he was that crook, he went out.
So you flew from Port Moresby up to
Papua, somewhere up there, yeah.
In a DC-3?
Yeah.
And then marched up to the beaches?
Yeah, we went up to Gona and joined the 2nd 14th.
And that was in December 1942. That's in the wet season. It would have been pretty warm up there at that stage.
It was stinking. And rained every night. It was very flat. And of course, you just laid the ground in the gas gate. So half the body, you couldn't turn over because half the body was wet. If you turned over, all the body was wet.
And Gona was a huge battle for the 39th and 2nd 14th.
It wasn't very nice.
What was your impression of Gona? Was it the...
Oh, it was stinking. It was terrible.
And the Japanese had been there for quite some time, so they had prepared very, very well fortified defences, hadn't they?
Yeah, no, they were good. They were good. You got out in the Kunau, you'd run across a Japanese pit. You'd be within a yard of it. You wouldn't know it was a pit. Yeah, they were good. And of course, the Kunau, they were back in the trees and we were in the Kunau, about 4 to 6 feet high. All the red-headed blokes, I thought they were, I had 2 of them, I thought they were being a bit dingo. They were crying, carrying on. I didn't realise them poor buggers were redheads, they were dehydrated. And they were in a lot of pain. I almost think they're putting it on.
They had heat stress. They
were heat cooked.
They were,
because you get in a patch of Kunai and lay on the ground, there's not a breath of air. Not a breath. And of course the sun beating down on you. We had to lay there for a couple of days. Jesus, they were stressed all right. And I didn't realise. I thought, oh yeah, you're one of those sort of fellas. I was dead wrong.
And then you were forced to do frontal attacks?
Yeah, we done frontal attacks. You get up and you wouldn't leave 5 yards after them. We done that for a week before we broke through.
Did the Japanese have all the kunai cleared and had...
No, they had fields of fire, but they had weapon pits in the kunai, and they just waited. You'd almost touch them before they opened up on you.
And there are a lot of other battalions also in that area too, 2nd 14th, 2nd 27th, so...
Well, the 14th, I think the 14th had relieved the 2nd 27th at Gona, and they made the initial attack on Gona. And we come in to help them. And then we done a flanking movement to West Gona, and they went up the beach, we went inland and around through the swamps in behind, come in from the rear and trapped them in the middle again.
What was that like?
That was pretty hairy too, because they had all the good weapon pits and we had to attack, and they were pretty good with all the way they had set up.
And you had the Owen gun at that stage?
Yes.
What was that like?
Good, very dependable.
And you can remember, did anyone do any sniping from trees up there?
Oh, you're talking about Doug McLean again. Doug McLean got up a tree with a Bren gun at Gona. And then I think he was on the staff supernumerary. He might have been 2IC company. But anyway, up at West Gona, when our plater got hit, Doug McLean took over our section. And that's where he got wounded.
There wouldn't be many blokes left at the end of the Gona battles?
No, numbers were getting down. And more so later on.
Did you go down to Sanananda?
Yes.
Down to Huggins Roadblock? And
yes.
What was that like down there?
Well, it wasn't very nice either, because it's only a small area and it was well surrounded by Japs. You couldn't move much.
And the Americans were down there?
Well, we relieved the Americans.
Did you meet many Americans?
No, but they took over from us when we came out. They sent a regiment in. It was 120 of us, and they brought a full regiment into the same area. So when we left, they were laying around everywhere. But we left 4 blokes there. Only 2 got back. The other 2 got out of the toilet, got out the pit, go to the toilet in the night, and they didn't get back.
They were taken by the Japanese?
No. Shot by the bloody Yanks. They didn't get out of pits at night time.
And after that, the battalion then basically finished its operations?
Not quite at Huggins. No, there'd been a little bit of a scuffle. 36th Battalion, heap of bloody kids. They didn't perform too well and we had to go in and take over their position after we come out of Huggins. Yeah, and then we were there for a week or so, cleaned most of that up, and then we had to go the last dying throws. We went protections of 25 pounders. The Nipser got in one night and blew a couple of barrels of picric acid. So we had to go and guard the RT for the last few weeks, last week or so we were in action.
Was that at Sanananda?
Yeah, just behind Sanananda. And that's where I came out. And I came out and they told me, well, I came out with malaria, and they said there was 39 blokes left counting the padre. After we got back to the unit at the hospital, I was packing us up again to take us to WOW, and the word got right through that we were coming home instead.
So you went back to Queensland with the unit?
Yeah, went back to Queensland.
To Wandekla?
Yes.
And you were
No, we had leave. We went straight and had leave, and then went back to Wandekla.
And then the unit was disbanded?
We were there a few weeks because they said, well, you had any leave? And of course, I never had a passbook, I never had a pay book or anything. So I said, no, I haven't any leave, so I got another 14 days. And then I went back, and the unit was, we were a couple hundred strong by then. I decided to march us out to the 2nd Battalion.
So what did you think about the unit being disbanded? The blokes must have...
Oh, it wasn't too good, but I mean, you never had the Rios, what are you going to do? It wasn't good.
And a lot of the 39th men joined the 2nd.
Well, the AIF, which a lot of our Rios had been, a lot of our blokes, like myself, we changed over when we could. A lot of blokes, as they turned 21, they all changed over. And a lot of our Rios were already AIF blokes. So, yeah, they took all the AIF, mainly went to the 2nd, those that had got back to the unit. Those that didn't get back to the unit, of course, went to other battalions like the 2nd, 4th. In the 19th Brigade was a lot of 39th blokes. And then a lot of the militia went to the 36th Battalion, I think. And they went over to Jacko Bay and places like that. Yeah.
It must have been disappointing though to see the...
It wasn't good because we thought everybody used to say, oh, you bloody chocos. Oh, you're 39th. Oh, yeah, that's different. Yeah.
So you had a good name at that stage?
Oh, yeah, the 2nd 14th, 2nd 16th, 27th. They wouldn't say a bad word against the 39th. No.
Well, Cec, we'll finish off here. On behalf of the 39th Battalion Association Historical Subcommittee, we would like to thank you for your time and this very interesting interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you.